Hello, everybody. Welcome to Repeater. It is a beautiful morning of construction as we record this episode. My name is Evan.
And I'm Pat.
And with us today is Lauren Denitzio of the band Worriers.
Hi.
Hello.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Thanks for being here. And good morning.
Yeah.
Good morning. Yeah. This is lovely. I don't think we've ever done a morning recording.
No, but it's a good change.
Yeah. I'm like just awake enough.
Me too.
That's how I feel most days.
Yeah.
If you're approaching me, I'm usually just awake enough to
I
be
downed
talking.
2 large cups of coffee this morning, and it is not doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we're here, and we're in for a good time. To get us started, let's talk about something we've been listening to lately. Pat?
Sure. I have been listening to a band called Rat Boys,
Okay.
and I can't stop listening to them. It's against the law for me to stop listening to them. They are very, very, very good. I like them a lot. Great name. But also, the song that really hit me hard is called Crying About Planets. It has like a nice kind of, I don't know, it's got a slow build and kind of these beautiful vocals that just sort of crescendo into this like loud pummeling guitar and like noise, and it's my favorite and I love it.
Yeah.
And you should all just go out and listen to everything Rat Boys have done because that's what I did, and it made me a better person, I would say.
That's cool. How did you discover Rat Boys?
I started following this website called The Alternative,
Mm-hmm.
and they have a recommendation section, and I think the article that I read was titled Rat Boys Are Such a Fucking Good Band, and I would agree with that.
Okay. Well, there you go. That's how you found good music.
I finally got to see them recently. I had heard about them for a long time.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. They were awesome.
Oh, cool. Good rec. I've been listening to the latest Caroline Rose album, and this song, I really like it, called More of the Same. It's the opener, actually, on it. It's really great. She is awesome. I think she's from New York, and she has just a great rock and kind of a little bit of a, I don't want to like put anybody in a hole or anything, but like little throwback, I think like 60s vibe to some of her songwriting and stuff. And she's really, really great. I saw her solo maybe last January, last March, and I'd never heard of her before. And she just put out a new album, and it's really, really good. It's called Loner is the name of the album. And she rocks.
Cool.
Yeah.
I've been listening to, or I've been getting really into Manchester Orchestra.
Oh, nice.
Which it just occurred to me that they're one of those bands that I slept on for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And I listened to their most recent record a lot, A Black Mile to the Surface, I think it's called. And it's so amazing. It's so great.
Yeah.
I am totally in love with it. And so now I've gone down the rabbit hole of listening to just their other stuff. And then I think the singer was also in this band Bad Books with Kevin Devine, who I recently played a show with. And so I feel like my world sort of like folded in on like needing to hear Manchester Orchestra. So I've been really, really into them, and they're just like an epic band.
Yeah.
They just make huge music, and
Yeah.
it's really beautiful.
I saw them once in Arizona, and I don't know what album they were touring, but during one of the songs, pyrotechnics happened. Like there was this massive fire on stage, and I was like, that is so cool.
Yeah.
And then the song ended, and he turned around and looked at the fire and was like, turned back to the crowd and goes, guys, wasn't that really cool when our amp caught on fire? And I was like, oh. And it was like a 7-minute song, and they were just like, we're just going to play through this amp that's exploding.
Whoa.
And Frankie Muniz was
Wow.
sitting next to me.
Oh.
So
There
it was
you
a
go.
day.
Yeah.
It's pretty exciting.
Cool.
Yeah, they're definitely a band I've slept on for sure. I mean, over the years, I think I've checked in every once in a while, but never gotten into them. And I don't know why.
No, I think they were recommended to me, and I think I lucked out in listening to their latest record on headphones, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just really immersive, and his voice is really beautiful, and it starts off really quiet. I don't know. It was like everything. I was like, of course I would love this band.
Yeah.
So, and it's not super poppy, but it's just it's like it gets stuck in your head. Songs get stuck in your head.
Cool. Yeah, speaking of songs, that's what we're here to do today, is talk about one. And what song do you want to talk about?
I picked Paramore, Still Into You.
Great. Let's listen to a clip right now. Oh, yeah.
It's been stuck in my head for a week.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Don't,
it's real
it's great.
earworm,
Once it
for
starts, it just doesn't stop.
Sure. Yeah. I was telling Pat before this, I had no idea this song went platinum. But I get it.
But of course
now.
it did.
Yeah.
Of course it did.
Yeah.
Also, if you get a chance, watch the music video because it looks like so much fun.
They just had a good time and made a video.
Yeah.
It was
It's a real like house party of a video almost.
Yeah.
There's like balloons and confetti and stuff. It's
Yes.
just,
A boat, like, that they're like
in
growing.
a room.
Yeah.
Like
And truly what every young person wants, which is BMX bikes inside of a house.
Oh yeah.
And a shirt that says dweeb.
Oh yeah. Oh,
You gotta have a dweeb shirt.
it was very Paramore.
Yeah.
So Paramore.
But that's the track, and now we're gonna try to take a stab at maybe why you chose this song.
Yes. And my, as usual, 100% correct guess is that I think, okay, so you were listening to this album in your apartment, and specifically you were sitting in your kitchen, and somebody you were into came back from the grocery store and had just gone out and bought a bottle of soap, and some bread, and some
You thought
bread,
about this for a while.
and some bread, and it was just like a nothing moment. But then this song came on, and you were like, yeah, even in this moment, I'm still into you.
Bottle of soap.
Yeah.
A loaf of bread. That's how the old song goes. Cool. My guess is that by the time this album came out for Paramore, you were someone who would like listen to them and kind of keep up, generally speaking, but we're not expecting to have a song by them matter. And as you made your way through the album, this was like that kind of pop gem that was in there that you begrudgingly really like took to, in a way where like the lyrics just happened to apply that amount that you needed at that time or something for you to be like, yeah, okay, you got me back, Paramore, or like you still got me kind of thing. That's my guess.
That's really pretty close, actually.
Okay.
Well, okay. So now is it mine?
Yeah.
Well, I feel like I was never a gigantic Paramore fan. You know, like like people would put them on the car and stuff, and I was like, okay, cool. But I think because of the way in which I played music and were in bands, I kind of like didn't take a lot of time to listen to bands that were like on Warped Tour and like super poppy, like pop punk and metal-y bands. I just didn't really listen to a lot of them. And then, I mean, I liked Paramore, but then this song like came up or I heard it or something, and it was like, really? I was like, wait, excuse me? Like, what band is this? And it was definitely a little begrudgingly like, fine, like I have to love this. And I think it's a really great poppy love song, that, she just kills it.
Yeah.
Singing it. Like her voice is just amazing. Like you can't, and it just gets stuck in your head and you cannot like it. And I think that, it was at a point like after I had stopped thinking about Paramore, and then I think I'm definitely like way more of a fan now than I, ever was as a kid, or like, when they first started or when they first got big.
Right. Yeah, and I was reading a couple things about this album being a bit of like a, I don't know, rebirth's maybe a strong word for this album, but like for them, it was a bit of like a reintroduction. Because I think they'd had lineup changes, and
Oh yeah.
Pat and I were talking about this. It probably was a little bit more of like on their move towards their current sound. And so, yeah, I mean, it was like a reminder album, like, hey, we're still here, we're still doing stuff.
Yeah,
You
and
know?
they're amazing. And,
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because I hadn't listened to Paramore, honestly, between Riot and Fake Happy. Is that the name of the new one? Or
After Laughter.
After Laughter, right.
Yeah.
And I hadn't listened to them in that time. And so After Laughter seems like such a shift in sound and like.
Oh yeah.
But in listening to the In Between albums, they have slowly been working towards this more dancey, poppy sound, and it's great.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think it's just nice to listen to the like arc of their albums. It's really cool, and I think that like Still Into You is definitely the one song that I keep being like, oh, like that's classic Paramore, or like that's what I like about them. So
yeah, and I enjoy the lyrics of this song because like it's a love song, but it's about a very specific kind of love of just like, I mean, that's why I went off on that very detailed tangent that I didn't intend to be that detailed, but those moments of just this is a weird moment, but like I'm feeling those butterflies, and that's exciting.
yeah, or like like if you're in a relationship for a long time, and you don't usually hear songs about like someone you've been with for a really long time, you know. So
yeah, we were talking with a guest about that on a recent live episode, and it's a rare form of love song, is the kind of like, hey, we've been doing this for a while and I still love you. You don't hear that many of them, and it's like an interesting genre almost of love song.
Yeah.
And especially this one, which really touches on, it's not just like, hey, a reminder, we still love each other, we still care, like you're the best partner I've ever had in my life. This is more like I still have those feelings from early on in the relationship, even in the midst of the relationship, which is an even more, or like even less frequently communicated thing.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. No, for sure.
And I'm like, that seems like such a cool moment to be in a relationship, is to be reminded of that type of thing, you know?
Yeah, well, I'm into that, like, that idea of, like, no matter where you are in a relationship, like, every day you're choosing that person. Like, that every day is kind of like like, yep, like, this still here, or, like, this is intentional, you know?
Yeah.
Or, like, being able to think about that, like, in a good way, you know?
Right.
Yeah. So maybe this song is kind of, like, leaning towards that, you know?
For sure.
Yeah. And it has that riff in there. It's just so much fun.
They made the bass line the lead guitar riff.
Yeah.
And it's so good.
Yeah, they've certainly figured out how to write catchy ass songs over the years.
Yeah.
But with the kind of wonderful theatrics, I think that especially like Haley's voice can bring to stuff.
It's amazing. Cool. I just, consistently can't get over how amazing her voice is. And, I think the way they make the bass line the lead guitar line, and then I really like it when lead guitar parts subtly mimic the vocal line.
Yeah.
And the way that makes it get stuck in your head. Like, I really like taking apart songs like this, but I think that, there's just like so many little bits of this song that are just like, of course it's going to get stuck in your head, or like, of course it's going to go platinum, because it's like the claps are at the right point. It's just like...
The claps are so good.
Yeah, like...
I normally, like, I don't know, normally for me, claps are just like a little too much.
Yeah.
But in this song, it's perfect.
No, I think it's a really well constructed song.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess that's the thing. It's like, it's a lot of people can write like super sugary, poppy, pop punk songs. Like, plenty of people can do that. But it's like to put together something that's like really beautiful and but then also really catchy in a very like classic way.
Yeah.
And have all those little bits in there, you know, like it's not just like 3 chords and a good melody. Like it's really well thought out. I don't know.
Yeah,
I really
there's a lot
appreciate this
there.
song.
Well, what? So we actually don't get to have a ton of musicians on the show. You know, like talking about songs. So what do you look for when you think something's a great composition, or I guess in this case of a pop song? You know, are there things that you are there things you look for, or is it you know it when you hear it, sort of?
I mean, I think I just know it when I hear it, or I think it definitely came first that I just really liked this song. And then when I, you know, ended up listening to it 80,000 times, it's like, that's when I was like, oh, and then there's this thing. And, you know, it repeats here in a weird way, or, you know, like you hear those little things that like you didn't necessarily think about on first glance. And that's the thing. It's like, that's, I think why I appreciate it is that it's not, like it's not hitting you over the head with it, you know, or it's just like, you don't even think about a lot of the little things that are kind of hidden in it. But it's just, I don't know, I think all really good pop songs are like that. And they get stuck in your head because they repeat in weird ways that you don't even notice. Like it's like subliminal messaging.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah, any song that you can kind of tease out stuff on more and more listens, I think it becomes, you get endeared to it, I think, because you have this like the relationship of discovering more and more in the song, which is really, really fun. And it's like an evolving listening experience, you know?
Yeah, and that's what makes this kind of song a good headphone album.
Yeah.
So you can like sit there and like press them against your ears and go, well, what else there's something else there and I'm not quite sure what.
Yeah.
But
I think when I got the whatever year I finally bought Michael Jackson's Off the Wall on like a CD, it was like a bonus disc. And so it came with some demo tracks at the end. And one of them I think is a demo from Michael of Don't Stop Till You Get Enough. And it's like Michael and one of his sisters and one of his brothers, and their job in this demo is they're playing Coke bottles, and it's just the top of that song, which is kind of this like glittery little intro. And it's a thing that, not from that recording, but basically that sound, that little bit of the song made it through to the final recording, is basically this like little tinkling at the top of the song. And it's a thing you're wondering, on the final recording, what about the beginning of the song is so awesome? Like there's so much going on, and you like tease it out, and then you learn it's like, well, it came from them just needing a little bit of background noise for the top of this demo, you know, and this little tiny nugget of an idea that survives all the way to this huge, you know, Quincy Jones production version of it.
Yeah.
Which is very cool.
No, and I love stuff like that.
Yeah.
You
know. Yeah, I think the more you can kind of get into those types of songs, the more you come to love them.
Yeah.
But I wanted to back up and ask, because you were saying that maybe Paramore was maybe like not a band you paid a ton of attention to, or like that genre, the Warped Tour genre.
No.
Right.
Not
So
at
what is
all.
it?
No way.
Pat and I were talking a little about this on the way here, about like maybe attitudes towards certain music or bands or things like that.
Yeah.
But what is it for you to have been a musician for a long time? Like, what is it to really then leap to love a band or love a song or an album or something on something maybe you don't listen to on a regular basis or feels outside of your normal orbit?
Well, I mean, I think I think I do a lot more of that now. Whereas, you know, when I was first starting to play in bands, or like when I was first like listening to punk or whatever kind of music I was getting into, it was all like, even the folk music that I listened to is very much like independent artists, and you know, playing in basements and being very adamant about it, like not being for the money, and like, you know, not being for like fame and attention. And so, you know, if I, although, you know, at the same time, then looking back, it's like, well, I listened to Rancid and NoFX. I don't know what I thought the difference was, but or it's just like they were on labels and stuff, but I don't know, like who knows what goes through your 18-year-old head. I don't, but I think that I cared a lot more about those things rather than I just wanted to listen to good music. Like now I just want to listen to songs I like. And, it doesn't, I mean, I feel like this is a long conversation, but it's like, I care about obviously like who artists are as people, but I'm less concerned with the scene you're a part of than I am with like if I just like the genre and the band and the music, So yeah, it's like I end up listening to stuff like Manchester Orchestra now that I probably didn't listen to them because I was just like, oh, it's like too indie or something, and I don't know why I was biased against certain bands like that, or just like I just didn't give it the time of day. And then when people were like, you have to listen to this, and then it's like, oh, you have to listen to the new Paramore record. Yeah. It's like, oh, yeah, I'm gonna do that because it's what other people I know are psyched about. And not about like who's on Warped Tour or not.
Right. Yeah, and I think like when I was younger, a lot of that stuff was, I mean, I probably would have hated my teenage self because I was so like stuck up when it came to music, because it was like a way of kind of, I was a suburban kid, and like it was a way to like establish identity and just be like, no, I don't listen to that because it's on the radio.
Yeah.
And
it's like top 40, and I'm like,
yeah, but like at the end of the day, it's also like if they're on the radio, like they're probably getting paid, and that's good, and we want to encourage these things. And
yeah, well, and I think that even now there's a big difference between, being a band or an artist that is really popular and is, I don't know, just like a really talented musician, or a wonderful songwriter, great performer, and somebody that kind of writes songs about nothing and just gets weird pop hits and is really into the money and the stardom. Like I feel like you can tell that. Absolutely. And so it's like those are the things I'm still not into that, but I'm not going to hate a song that's, on the top 40 radio hits just because it's that popular.
Yeah.
So
I definitely remember having moments in like middle school just being like, oh, TRL doesn't have any punk songs on it. Whatever, rock and roll is like my thing. It's like niche. I'm like, that's a weird barometer to have.
Yeah. I don't know. I try to not be as judgmental about it. Yeah. Maybe.
I think that's a thing that just talking to so many people about music and from my own experience, that there is a loosening up of those weird, strict ideologies you have when you're whatever age, usually your teens, about, like the importance you put on certain things within music. And there's more acceptance of just liking songs, like what you're talking about, and liking certain artists or whatever. And the way, part of it is almost like a kindness to yourself of, why deny yourself something that you like when the only thing in your way is kind of like your own negative attitude about it.
Completely.
Yeah.
I was even talking to Pat about Paramore specifically, which I loved their first album, and I was very into pop punk at that time. And I would say by the time their second album came out, I'd like faded a little bit on pop punk, but was still into certain bands. And I just remember really not enjoying it, or not like, I was not sold at all when their second album came out. And I had a couple friends that really were still, and there's a part of me that thinks, I'm like, what was the real difference between their first and second albums? Like, I don't know if there was a huge...
It's like looking back, I was like, wait.
That's what I'm saying. Like looking back, but I at the time thought, I was like, oh, this album's so different. It's like, I don't think I would have even used the language of like they sold out or anything at that time. It was like, oh, this just feels bigger and less intimate, I think is how I felt about it. But but now listening back to both those albums, I could probably, hardly distinguish between the two, especially given their whole catalog now.
Yeah.
No,
totally. And I mean, I think about that a lot when I think of when folks say like, oh, like that punk band, like that their latest record is like really it's like overproduced, or it's like way more produced than their last one was, which I don't know what that means. But like, it's like, oh, they took their time on this one, And it's like I'm totally one of those people that like with Against Me records, I really love White Crosses. I love how that record sounds.
Yeah.
And like or like how like New Wave and White Crosses sounds. And like from the get-go, like from the time they came out, I was like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
And a certain crowd of people were like, that sounds bigger. It's like, but it sounds awesome.
What's the problem with that?
Yeah, it's like, what's the issue here? Like, the songs are great. They sound amazing.
There's
what's your
like
problem?
a subset of Mountain Goats fans that are kind of the same way with like, if it wasn't recorded on a boombox, I don't want it. And it's like, you're missing out on some of the greatest songs he's ever written.
Yeah, it's like I've been listening to this song, "The Mess Inside," the Mountain Goats song, "The Mess Inside," and I think that's one of those songs that was like recorded on a cassette deck or something. Yeah. But if that was, it wouldn't necessarily be better if it was recorded like in the studio with like really clear microphones and stuff. But I would still love it because it's a great song.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like at the end of that's I guess that's the thing. At the end of the day, you could have a wonderful song that's recorded in an amazing studio with the best gear. Mm-hmm. But if you can't record it on a cassette deck and still have it sound like a good song, then maybe you have a problem.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I think the best songs you can go either way on, and it's fine. Like Guided by Voices, same thing.
Yeah. That's usually the mark of anything good is like, can it be translated or can the production be totally different? Mm-hmm.
So going off of that, I wanted to ask what it's like for you to go from a song that you've performed for a record and then what it's like to take that and then perform it solo.
I mean, it's fun for me because I write all of the songs by myself, usually pretty much start to finish. So I always have that version in my head of like kind of what it sounds without everyone. And if anything, it's like you always just have to hope that they still hold up because everyone else only had the full band version before. Like if they've heard your music before, they've only ever heard that. So I like being able to kind of rearrange them and kind of play them a little differently and play around with them. And I don't know, it's just like I just like playing them. So if I can find a way to do that more often, then like sure. But yeah, it's fun, but it's obviously like it's a little nerve-wracking because you hope it is like a good translation. But
yeah, I think that's one of the things that always has stuck out with me about punk over the years in general, and its various offshoots is a lot of the best stuff. You could just put one person on stage and have them do it in a way that it doesn't decrease anything. And I think there's like swaths of pop music or other genres, and there are plenty of other genres where this is also possible. It's kind of a thing. I grew up listening to a lot of country music because of my dad, that I immediately saw a connection between. And like, you can take the band out of a country song and it's basically the exact same song. Yeah. There's really, you're not losing anything for the most part. And punk always felt like this, I don't know, this later evolution of kind of the same thing. Simple, like a stripped down, simple kind of music, It didn't take a lot of, musical knowledge to necessarily get it.
Yeah, it's like you can end up playing, like you can strip down a lot of those songs, like a lot of your favorite like punk related bands. Yeah. That you don't necessarily need the whole band to play them and like get the general gist of it.
Well, and one of the beautiful things too is things in that, world and genre, like maybe for people outside of the genre, especially who aren't familiar with it, it's like a lot of punk maybe sounds angry to some people or can sound aggressive or loud. And I think one of the beautiful things about being able strip those songs down is understand that they don't need to be loud. They don't need to be aggressive. You know, they don't need any of that. The good ones really are just like, they're just a great tune, great song.
No, totally.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
Even without the emotion or the yelling or the whatever.
Yeah.
Which is a funny, it's funny having listened to the genre for a while and thinking that like that's still people's primary association is like a pit or something, like a really angry thing. And knowing I'm like, that's not how I think about it.
Yeah.
We, a couple years ago, we went to Suburbia for Chumped's last show.
Oh yeah, I was at one of those. That was cool.
And I went with my then new girlfriend at the time, and
My then girlfriend at the
time. But she had never really been to a show like that, and it was like a cool experience for her to be like, "How do you know all of these people?" And I was like, "I do not." I was like, "I do not."
It's like she thought that you guys were at a house party, but it wasn't a house party.
No.
Like, I mean, it looked like it was, but it wasn't.
Right, but then also like she was just like, everybody here is so nice and like welcoming, and I was like, yeah, but that's what this is. And then, you know, Jeff went up and played and it got insane, but it was still like, everybody's here to have fun.
Yeah.
Nobody's like getting hurt, and like if you fall you get picked back up, and it's something about how pure, if I can be poetic, how pure, but like in simple, and just like, we just want to play these songs for our friends, and if I don't know you, you're probably if you know that person, you're probably gonna be my friend too.
Yeah,
and that's really exciting.
No, and like that, you know, that's sort of a thing with that general scene, and with Jeff Rosenstock, especially, like, you know, he full band, he's amazing. Just him is also totally bananas. Like, it's just great. It's just great. And, you know, it's like, I feel like that's maybe a really good example of what you were talking about. Like, you can totally strip it down and people are still just as emphatic about it. You know, even just meeting people who like may have heard of us through like him / Side One Dummy, and like, you know, thinking that like, oh, well, if you all are friends, then like we all are friends, you know, and that I think that that's a really good like place to be in a scene, you know, or it's just like when you can kind of trust those associations. Yeah. You know,
it feels like a similar evolution of even just that critical voice from the days like when I was a teenager of not liking certain music to just the way the shows felt. And there were bigger shows than what we're talking about now and that kind of stuff, but it used to feel more competitive, or it used to feel more like dodgy. And now it feels more like, hey, we're all just trying to enjoy something together. And that parallels to me like how I listen to the music, and going to the shows, you know?
Sure. Yeah. Or it's like, you know, when you're at the last Chumped show, it's like, oh, you like that band? I like that band. Like, we're like, and then when you see people around the neighborhood and stuff, it's like, oh yeah, like we're all.
I think we went to go see Pup almost just a couple months after that. Is that right?
No, it was the next weekend.
It was the next weekend. And it was like half the same people.
Yeah.
And it was so cool to see. Because I think that was certainly my initiation into kind of that scene in New York, was going to those two shows back to back. And it left like a really awesome impression on me.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
I miss that. So.
Yeah,
that feeling.
Yeah.
Well, because you're down in Philadelphia.
Yeah, I live in Philly now.
Cool.
Philly's super cool right now, right?
Yeah, and actually, like the scene in Philly is great. I've loved playing shows there recently, where it feels kind of like it used to in Brooklyn. Like not to be like, oh, like, you know, things were better whenever, but like it's a really great vibe there, and I always feel like, you know, there's just always a ton of friends, and people are all there rooting for each other and helping each other out, and it's really rad. I'm very excited by it.
Yeah, but I think you're kind of right about Brooklyn though, because like there were the days where there were more DIY venues and they're getting shut down left and right, and it's heartbreaking.
No, it really is, and I, you know, R.I.P. Silent Barn. Like,
Yeah.
I just, just to name one. Yeah, I mean, it's, it's been changing. It's always changing. New York is always changing. And I think, as I get older, like, my friends like move away or aren't in bands anymore, or just like are doing different things. And so it just like your scene just changes. And I think a lot of it is just like a natural evolution of things, but it is something that it's just very hard to have DIY all ages shows in Brooklyn, and it's really unfortunate. But I like the fact that people are like really trying hard to make a concerted effort to preserve a lot of that and like keep that vibe going as much as possible.
Yeah, that's really great. What if you could shout out a couple bands from Philadelphia for people to check out? Would you have a couple that you could choose?
Sure. Oh, I feel like I want to pick, I don't know. There's so many. There's so many.
No. That's why I know it's a hard question,
so
but
I'm like, oh no.
just a starter pack, for people.
Oh, well, so Katie, I would say, Katie Ellen, which is Anika from Trump's new band.
Yeah.
And Soul Glow, our amazing, awesome hardcore band. And Open City, which is Rachel, who used to play in Worriers, but also like Bridget Tunnel and a million bands. And folks from Painted Black. And I don't know, there are a million. I mean, it's like, what? It's like Cayetana, like, of course,
of course.
like,
That's a good start, though.
Yeah. No, there are just so many that I think my brain is overloading. And now, like, kids in Philly are going to be like, what the, how did you not mention whoever? But
it's a hard question.
Dark Thoughts.
We're
Dark
taking
Thoughts
the
is a
blame
great
for
band.
it.
Yeah,
Don't worry.
we're based in New York,
Yeah.
and we'll be willfully ignorant to this by accident. So.
Yeah.
No, there are tons, and like I will think of many more.
Great. I wanted to ask about your art overall, because I know you're also would you describe yourself as an illustrator and
Like artist and illustrator,
Artist and
yeah.
illustrator.
I don't know. I make things.
yeah, and that's great. Like, that's so cool to me, and I'm just curious how you're able to like balance out music and art, and maybe like what different locations do for you as an artist.
Yeah. I mean, I try to balance things. I think I've just gotten like really adamant about like not like sacrificing things. Just like I really enjoy writing music and playing in a band and also drawing all the time and making things for other people, like if that's in like an illustration kind of way. And I just want to do all the things. And even over the past couple of years, I've just tried really hard to be like, okay, I'm gonna make time for all of these things in as like strategically productive way as I can, like I don't have a lot of time to just sit around and doodle. Like, it just doesn't happen. But I try to make the most of like our time on the road, and like when I'm home, making really specific time for myself. Like, I just started renting a studio space, and like that's been a big game changer for me. So yeah, I mean, it's just like everything like has its own kind of place, or like I get a different level of enjoyment out of all of it. But yeah, it's just like I want to like make things that I want to see in the world. So I just try to do that. Sometimes, like, I've been drawing a lot of plants. I don't know. It's just like I drop like portraits and things, or like people in their homes. So I don't know.
So I had pre-ordered your new album.
Cool. Oh yeah.
Mostly because, I mean, I'm a sucker for colored vinyl.
Cool.
But because I can't remember how many it was, but I knew that if I did the pre-order, I was going to get a zine with it. And that was like the coolest thing that I've gotten with a record.
Oh, cool.
Like,
thank you.
because like I'm a sucker for colored vinyl, but like to have something that was clearly so thoughtfully put together, and I don't know, I don't know how to describe the feeling of just like having that with music, and it just like added so much.
Well, thanks. Yeah. No, that was a really it was a really great thing to be able to do that, like to be able to work on something and have it come out with the record, and kind of like it was technically just like an extra, but it is its own thing. It's something that I like really want to reprint, because I feel weird about the fact that like the only people who have it are the people who pre-ordered the record, which is like a very specific set of people. And then like, I think I had 50 copies that we sold at shows, but again, like only sold them at shows. So it wasn't like no one else. I mean, some of our friends have them, but like, that's it. So, I really want to reprint that. But it's, it was really nice to be able to combine those two, that I don't get to do that very often.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
I'm glad you
really
liked it though. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah. Pat and I lived together, if you didn't know that. Cool. And I can vouch for he was very excited about it. I feel like on multiple times, like, did I tell you that I got this with the record? And I was like, yeah, no, I know. You talked about it. It's very cool.
Yeah.
Because I'm also like, I'm very much, I go to a show and I'm like, oh, I'm not going to get anything. And then I come home and I'm like, I got 2 shirts, a poster, a pen.
Yep.
So part of it was, guess what? I didn't buy a new shirt because I don't have room for those.
Yeah. No, cool.
Yeah, no, it was very cool. And yeah, it's got to be so nice to be able to bring those things together every once in a while, you know. Yeah, like that rules.
Thanks.
And it's probably more of the going back to what you were saying right before that. I would guess that more of the kind of thing you want to see in the world, right? Like, wouldn't it be nice to get a couple different mediums in one package when you're looking to buy something from an artist you really appreciate, that kind of thing?
Yeah, or I mean, especially like when the nature of like listening to music is changing so much, and I feel like, I hope we always put out vinyl, but at the same time, like putting out like a 12 by 12 art print as the physical thing that you buy with that like somehow comes with music, like just the visual culture that goes along with music is something that people don't necessarily talk about all the time, and the aesthetics that you associate with a band, or like the imagery that you associate with a band, or like even if it's like a weird piece of merch that they have that's like very specific to them, it's like it's all part of like what you're trying to create and what you're trying to put out there. And the zine that came with the record wasn't just lyrics and some photos and stuff. Like it was a lot of my artwork and some other writing and text stuff, and like there was one drawing that was like kind of an abstraction of a photo from a gay liberation parade, that the woman holding a sign saying I'm your worst fear, I'm your best fantasy. And it's like, that's just the kind of thing that I nerd out about, like that I find really fascinating. And I love that sort of imagery, or I love that sort of interaction with history. And it's like that. Yeah, it's like those are the kind of things that I want to see in the world. Like that's the kind of thing where like if I got that with a record and I wasn't prepared for it and I saw that, I would adore it. And so I put it in a zine, And so like, yeah, it's like I think about that a lot, that I'm like, I want to make things that like, if I got this, I would be so stoked, or like that I would be interested in it. So
I think that's a great thing for us to all think about as we put stuff out there into the world.
Cool. Yeah.
Lauren, thanks for joining us.
Yeah. No, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. Where can people find out what you're doing?
We are on the internet. It's worriersmusic.com, and most of our like social media things are all just like Worriers Music, or like it's worriers.bandcamp.com. And yeah, we're I'm playing a bunch of shows. Solo, we're going to Europe with Tiger's Jaw and Slaughter Beach Dog. And then we're doing a big U.S. tour with the Wonder Years, along with Tiger's Jaw and Tiny Moving Parts. And that's for most of May and June. So, if you didn't know we were on that tour, we are on that tour. Please come hang out.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
Well, thanks to everybody out there who's been listening to this episode. It's been really fun. If you like it, do the podcast stuff. Give us a rating, 5 stars. Tell a friend is probably even better.
Yeah.
Right? Pat's a big word of mouth advocate.
Yeah. Tell a friend, tell somebody you met on the street, tell somebody that likes Paramore.
Yeah.
Or
Worriers.
Or Worriers. That's probably the more helpful one.
That's probably the more helpful one.
But Paramore, if you're listening, thanks.
Yeah, it's always good. We have multiple touchstones of what people might be a fan of.
Cool.
But thank you guys all for listening. Lauren, thank you again for joining us.
Oh, thank you.
So nice to have you. Everybody out there, until next time.
Hit repeat. Somehow have gotten used to it, like not being totally weird for it to be me and like 2 people. It's fine.
Literally think about doing this. I was like, this is so brave.
Just a live recording.
Yeah.
No big deal. No, thanks for hanging.
Yeah.
I'll play another one, which is an older song that I kind of play a different version of live than it sounds on the record. So this is Chasing. It's been a long time, but I guess the invitation still stays. come up to my house claiming you just want to see the bands. Opportunity will get the best of me. I open my big mouth this time, but nothing at risk. It's a mutual benefit to let me speak my mind. Push me up against the door, make believe you're kissing someone that you make time for. It was addictive to be wanted like that, for a moment to be wanted like that. I could be sick, I could be a fool, I could ask you to stay. Overwhelmed by yes, things could be different if you wanted it that way. I see the light through your teeth, see the bullet holes in your shoes. Words mean nothing, I wanna see the follow through. Push me up against the door, make believe you're kissing someone that you make time for. It was addictive to be wanted like that, for a moment to be wanted like that. Push me up against the door, make believe you're kissing someone that you make time for. It was addictive to be wanted like that, for a moment. Push me up against the door, make believe you're kissing someone that you make time for. It was addictive to be wanted like that, for a moment to be wanted like that. Cool.
Repeater is hosted by Evan Ford Barden and Patrick Cartelli. This episode was recorded at Magnet Training Center in New York City, where they offer classes in improv, musical improv, sketch writing, storytelling, and more. Find out more at magnettheater.com. Visit us online at repeater.show for live dates, hot music tips, and show archives. Theme music by the Sun Lions. Everything else by Love Nest Productions. Welcome to Repeater.